Today is all things Washington Commanders. The ball is on the 25, and it is 1st and 10. Welcome back to the show. Today, as I mentioned before, we're going over the Washington Commanders' entire 2024, the offseason, and then, of course, into 2025, we shall project. But before we do that, Metro, my Mr. Co-host, how are you doing today, sir?
I am doing well. We had some breaking news develop with the Washington Commanders. We won't talk about it yet. We'll get to it here in just a moment. Not good news, but today is all things Commanders. Got a lot of stuff to talk about, and top it to it.
Let's start. Let's go back to 2024 so we can project correctly into 2025. Where did we finish? We finished in the NFC East at a record of 12-5. For points scored, aka your offense, we finished in 5th in the league at a 32. And then on defense, we finished in 18th, right in the middle of the pack. So, good things, as you can see. Our rookie quarterback, picked at number 2, broke out, a.k.a. Jaden Daniels, so that's always a highlight, and drove these guys to the playoffs, beat the Lions, and then some. And then on defense, we looked good, but not quite Super Bowl caliber. Metro, what other stats do you have on this team?
Yeah, so I have some more advanced stats we can take a look at to see what was good and what was bad about the team. Offensively speaking, 6th in points per game with 28.8, 5th in yards per game, 373.3, 7th in touchdowns per game. One of the best in a 4th down, one of the best on 3rd down, and one of the best in the red zone. Dominant rushing attack and a pretty solid passing attack with a relatively high quarterback sack rate of 7.78%, but a pretty low interception thrown rate. Defensively is where I think this team is going to look to take a bigger step in 2025. 22nd in opponents' points per game with 24.9, 27th in opponents' touchdowns per game with 3, 17th in opponents' yards per game. Not good on 3rd down, bad in 4th down, and bad in the red zone. Below average against the run, they were 31st in opponent rushing yards a game. But against the pass, they actually were not too bad, albeit not the greatest volume. So from what these numbers tell me is, Daniels was cooking, let's be honest, kind of carrying the team in some ways. McLaurin did his thing as well. Get to him here in just a moment. Defensively, got some holes, though. Front 7 has to stuff the run a little bit better, and you just have to simply be better against the run as well as getting some turnovers because they were 21st in opponent interception thrown rate. So a lot of things to take from last year. Obviously, make it to the NFC Championship game, which nobody saw happening, and you did that. Did some good things in general last year, winning 12 games in a rookie year of Jaden Daniels. So a lot to take away from last year, but there's definitely some things we want to improve upon.
Well said, man. And I really liked how you highlighted how Jaden just made this thing go, man. As we all know, he did carry this team, and all you have to do is build upon him in this rookie contract, and things can only get better from here. Would we like to talk about their free agency period here in 2025? And before we talk about the actual free agency period, let's address the elephant in the room. As of today, a.k.a. about 45 minutes ago, Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, the wide receiver, requested a trade from the Commanders. Now, he's searching for a new contract at the age of 29 years old, I believe, so he's getting up there in age. This guy has been with this team since the beginning, through all the ass and all the bad, and now he just wants a fair payday. I think that's reasonable. What's the U Metro, and also any thoughts on the current situation?
Yeah, look, I've said this all day today. I think eventually the deal will get done. I do not think he'll be suiting up for another roster. I think in 2025, he's going to be a Washington Commander. With that said, it is interesting to think about what is the dilemma of the deal, because you'd have to think that Washington would want to get the deal done, and you'd have to think Terry wants to be a Commander. So now I'm not terribly tapped into what's been going on here. My assumption is that he wants to be paid similar to CeeDee Lamb, to Justin Jefferson, who are making 35 to 34. I don't think he'd be asking for 40 like Jamar Chase. But 35, 34, above 30 is what I'm assuming he wants. And, I think it's probably worthwhile. Like, Deebo Samuel is making $23.5 million, right? McLaurin's a lot better than Deebo. In fact, right now, Terry's making less than Deebo right now. So, if that is the dilemma, I just don't understand it. I think you just got to sign the dude, give him a $35 million deal. You can front load it, you can back load it, however you want to do it. I guess we could talk about some potential trade destinations. We talked earlier before we recorded. We said the Jets. We said the Steelers. Who else we say? Patriots.
Big one for me was Buffalo if they have any money
Yep.
left. I think that'd be a really good fit in a window where they're trying to win the whole thing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of teams out there that, I think there would be some teams interested for sure. Yeah, I don't think Washington is going to trade him. I think he will be a Commander. I think they'll get the deal done soon. One thing I want to say is this. I think GMs are, I'm going to try to use my words nicely here because I don't want to call them dumb. Their job is very difficult. They're silly. They're silly people. They are silly people. Like, why are we waiting to pay Trey Hendrickson? Why are we waiting to pay Micah Parsons or Terry McLaurin? There's no reason to. Those guys are proven dudes. This is not like you're giving Trevor Lawrence a contract who has one good year on film, but you have to invest a ton of money into him. That's not the case. You have years and years of proven productivity with dog shit quarterbacks. And yet now when he has a quarterback, you're afraid to pay the guy? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's the same thing with like Micah. Like Micah Parsons, hell of a player, consistently getting you 10-plus sacks. Why are we afraid to pay the guy? Trey Hendrickson, consistently 15-plus sacks. Why are we afraid to pay this dude, $30 million annually when he's deserved that contract? I get it. It's a big sum of money, but these dudes deserve it. And look, if McLaurin enters the open market, and he actually does leave the Commanders, it completely changes my perception of this Commanders team. Because I think McLaurin on the roster makes this team a playoff contender and maybe even more so. You take McLaurin off the roster, I am really worried about this Commanders team. So I think they have to get a deal done. And, we'll see. By the time this video gets uploaded, we're recording this on Thursday. So by the time we get this uploaded, who knows? Maybe he's signed. Maybe he hasn't. I'm sure we'll put something in the comments to fix our talk here. But if they don't get a deal done, boy, am I worried. I would be very worried.
Metro, I have nothing else to say. I think you encapsulated that perfectly, and the consequences are there severely for this team. And like you mentioned, I think they'll pull through. This is just leverage for Terry to make his payday come a little bit faster than waiting a whole season away. Anything else you got on this subject before we go into their free agency period?
No, I think I said my piece there. Just pay the damn players, dude. They deserve it. Who cares? It's $1 or $2 extra $1 million. And I'm sure it's not really the number. I'm sure it's probably guarantees and, contract language. But it ticks me off when I see these contract disputes go on for zero reason. And it always seems to be the same teams too, like Dallas, Cincinnati. Commanders occasionally will have stuff like this happen. But, yeah, it's frustrating.
Me and you with a zero finance degree, we look at this shit and we go, bro, just sign the check.
Pay him.
It's not that
Just
hard.
pay him.
And then you get in the room and you're like, you know what? This is probably more difficult than we expect. But like you mentioned, the good
sure.
franchises figure it out fast. So where's that balance? Where's the right answer? Somewhere in the middle as always. Let's go into 2025 and their March free agency period. And let me tell you, fellas, it's taking up my entire damn screen. The Commanders were busy. Let's start with the highlights and then go into some depth, but let's start here. Now, as we mentioned, that front seven was kind of rough, so we signed the defensive interior, Javon Kinlaw, to a 3-year, $45 million deal. We also got safety Will Harrison there for a 2-year, $8 million deal. Cornerback Jonathan Jones to a 1-year, $6.5 million deal. Edge Weiss Jr. for a $1.5 million deal, and Jacob Martin Edge for a $1.3 million deal. You also got Eddie Goldman, the defensive interior, guard Nate Herbig, the 1-year deal there. We signed Michael Gallup. Now the big moves. We traded for Laramie Tunsil. He wasn't quite fitting in the locker room, supposedly in Houston. We'll take that shit all day long. We now have our left tackle in place on this team to protect our franchise quarterback. We also traded for Deebo Samuel from the 49ers. How much does he have left in the tank? I don't know, but I would like him more than majority of the wide receiver twos you could plug into this offense, so I'll take that all day long. He offers something new and different to this offense. We re-signed Bobby Wagner, Marcus Mariota, Zach Ertz, Noah Brown, Nick Belair, Tress Way, Sheldon Day. I could go on here for miles, but we got a lot of guys back on 1-year deals. And as we mentioned before, if you got a lot of players on 1-year deals, what does that mean? The window is now. And maybe they put themselves in this situation. Didn't expect Terry to be all not fussy because he deserves this money. But this is kind of the bind they've put themselves in. I don't know how much money they have left. But the point is, they need to win now. You need to extend Terry unless he's going to get traded, or he's going to get traded. You put yourself in this predicament to begin with. Metro, what are your thoughts on their free agency? And also, what would you rate it from 1 to 10? 10 being fantastic, 5 being average.
We did not talk about it because it didn't show on the PFF thing. They also signed Von Miller as well. So keep that in the back of your mind as well. Look, I might get some shit for this. And I understand if you're going to be mad. I was not a fan of their free agency class, like almost at all. Now, some of the moves I liked. I didn't mind the Laramie Tunsil move. I liked the re-signing of Bobby Wagner. Noah Igbenogany, bringing him back was a good move. Adding some depth pieces here and there, Jonathan Jones, Kinlaw. To me, they had the money, but I don't think they signed any difference makers, really. I don't think they did. Look, Debo is better than what they had last year, but Debo is also, 29 years old, clearly in the backstage of his career. And this was already an old roster, and then you added 29-year-old Debo Samuel, who's in the back end of his career, 30-year-old Laramie Tunsil, who's, coming off probably his worst year of his career. Terry McLaurin is 29 years old too, and then you go out there and you say, oh, we need an edge rusher. Well, let's take Von Miller, who Von Miller hasn't been very good lately. He had 6 sacks last year, so he can still go a little bit. 8 sacks in 2022, but 0 in 2023. Cool, I guess. So I was just not a fan of it. They went into the offseason with a lot of stuff on the table. We were talking Myles Garrett coming to Washington, Trey Henderson coming to Washington. And then you kind of look at what they did, and it's like, I don't think they got better. In fact, I honestly want to say they lost some pieces too. Like they lost their 10-sack edge rusher from last year to Dallas. You lose well, they didn't really lose a whole lot more outside of that. But for the most part, I don't know, not a big fan. I was not a fan of what they added in free agency. Because when you cut off some of these older players like a Jonathan Allen, you expect to replace them with younger pieces. But when you look at this team, bro, it's an old roster. Like outside of Daniels, it's old. Like McLaurin is almost 30. Debo's about to be 30. A lot of the offensive line is older defensively. Wagner's probably going to retire after this year. Von Miller's probably going to retire after this year. Deron Payne's old as hell. Armstrong's not a rookie no more. He's pretty young or pretty old. Marshawn Lattimore's old as hell. Will Harris is 29 years old. This is an old team. So, I don't know. I'm kind of yapping here a little bit. I just was not a big fan of what they did this offseason. There's some good things here and there, but nothing great. And the Javon Kinlaw contract was just too much for my liking.
Honestly, a very fair breakdown. And I do agree that with a lot of this, they are kind of just putting a patch on the leak in the air mattress, you might say, or in the tire. They're just trying to figure this thing out with more older talent. But at the same time, imagine you're the Commanders and you're in their seat. You haven't won much in a long time. Now you have a quarterback to win. Are we going to A, blow this thing up, cut a lot of old pieces that, hey, they can produce, but they're kind of expensive, and kind of restart and hopefully by year 4 with Jaden Daniels be winning again, or slap a patch on that bad boy and keep winning games and most likely make the playoffs? That's just kind of how I view it from their perspective, but also I totally get where you're going on saying, hey, they recycled a lot of pieces and it didn't move the needle and we're still paying up all this money, but no, we can't pay our wide receiver and Terry McLaurin. So I understand that as well, but I get both sides of it too.
Well, I do want to say I'm not necessarily opposed to going all in for contracts, right? Going all in for agency. My issue is they went in on the wrong people. They completely whiffed, in my opinion. You needed a receiver, right? There's a lot of great receivers you could have gotten in the open market. A lot of good ones. Stephon Diggs, great player.
Debo.
And you went with Debo Samuel, who you had to trade for. Granted, it didn't cost you hardly anything, but Debo's in the back end, man. He's not that great anymore. Tunsil, okay, I like the Tunsil move. I respect that one. But then it's like, okay, we need help in the interior defensive line because we're losing Jonathan Allen. A lot of good players out there, but you went with Javon Kinlaw. You badly needed edge rushing help, and you got Deatrich Wise, who last year put up a total of 5 sacks. and he's supposed to be your go-to, potential pass rusher on certain downs, and he just hasn't been a productive guy like that. And he's also 31 years old. Jonathan Jones, this dude is old as hell. He's 31 years old too, and he's like a nickel outside-ish corner. Will Harris is 29. They had money, and they could have went out there and spent this cash on older players who are good, who are good players. I mean, these players aren't bad. Don't get me wrong; they will play a role, but
they're in the league.
I don't know. I came away with this offseason a little bit confused as to why there was all this hype about their offseason, right? Because I was like, their edge rushers are still not good. Their offensive line better, it's really good, but the receiving core is not that great. Deebo Samuel, if McLaurin leaves, they're screwed. Their running back room to me is still not very good, and the saving grace is that they have Jaden Daniels, who I think so highly of. And that's why I still think they're a playoff contender, because they have that dude, and they have some talented pieces elsewhere like Luvu, Mike Sainristil still. We'll see if Marshawn can return to form, but I don't know. If I had to give it a grade, just off of free agency, C-, right? You had all this cash, and I just don't think they used their money effectively, right? Except maybe outside the Laramie Tunsil move.
Fair grade. I'll give it a C+, just because I did like the Tunsil move a lot, whether he was off a bad year or not. I think it's the right direction for your team. And yeah, we recycled a lot of players with older players, but I think it's the move when you're trying to win right now. Who knows? Maybe talks weren't going their way, and they just could not afford some of these huge contracts. Anything else you got in this free agency period before we go into the NFL draft?
No. For their draft, we should really only focus on the first two picks, because nobody else is probably going to play for them in the draft. We can at least mention their name.
Very fair. Let's go through every single pick and then break them down and yap together, Metro. First pick, we have Josh Connerly Jr., the Oregon O-tackle they got here at 29 overall. Next, in the second round, we got Trey Amos, the Ole Miss cornerback. What a steal right there. Fourth, we got Jalen Lane, the Virginia Tech wide receiver. He could see some playing time this year, potentially. Sixth, we have Kane Mindrano, the UCLA linebacker. And then finally, in the seventh round, we have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, the Arizona running back. Let's take it back to the top. You got something else? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You got something to say?
No, you're good. You're good.
Let's take it back to the top. We have Josh Connerly Jr., Oregon O-tackle. I think this is a very good move. When you figure out you have your quarterback, let's keep the dude upright. Jaden Daniels, while he is flashy with his feet, honestly, his best ability is his accuracy down the field in the deep areas. He is poised and can hold that ball and let it fly and take a hit. I like that a lot, so if you protect him, it's only likely to get better. Connerly is very athletic, maybe not the strongest, but he can improve his technique and get better at some point. And if you're learning from Laramie Tunsil, however he may be in the locker room, if Laramie Tunsil is any kind of mentor, I like this pairing a lot. What were your thoughts on the pick, Metro?
Okay. You sound like a hater. I was
you can dunk on them all day, Metro? This is for
Dude,
them.
I know. I feel so bad because I'm just being honest. All right. The pick at the beginning, I really hated the pick. It has gotten better as time has gone on because I do understand why they made the move. I think it's a short-sighted decision, though. And hear me out. They made the pick primarily because he's a future tackle for them. But they also made the pick because Sam Cosmi tore his ACL, and they got to stick Andrew Wiley in at right guard. My concern for this is you took a tackle last year in Brandon Coleman, who started a lot of games last year at left tackle. He could easily fill in at right tackle or move inside to play guard. Then you could keep Andrew Wiley at tackle, which means you still have a really solid 5 offensive linemen. Josh Connerly might not start this year. I think he probably will end up starting this year because it would be a massive disappointment if he wasn't starting. And I understand building your offensive line for the future. I think whenever you draft a lineman, it's never a horrendous pick because linemen are a premium. And you took one in the first round. I think it'll work out. My concern is, and I hate to kind of sound like I'm beating a dead horse, the edge rushing room badly needed help. And there were some dudes still available like a Donovan Ezeraku, who I think would have been a great fit here. Could have used help with a younger linebacker. Jahad Campbell, I believe, was still available. He could also play off the edge too. You needed help with a receiver. You could have took a Jaden Higgins or a Luther Burden, who was also still available. You could have taken a running back, Granted, I guess at that stage, both Amari and Ashton were off the board. You could have went with like Quinshawn, but probably smart you didn't do that. But you could have took a Travion Henderson or something like that. So the Connerly pick will work out. He'll be your future right tackle or left tackle of the future. You're going to have a young offensive line of Connerly, Coleman, Biadish, and Cosme probably for the future. I just personally think there was better players on the board that would have addressed more serious positions of need, like an edge, running back, receiver, et cetera, et cetera. So that pick was not my favorite. The Trey Amos pick, though, good pick. I like that pick a lot. So I'll let you talk about Trey Amos because I was talking there for a bit.
No, all good, man. Metro's all happy now. Look at that, guys. We've turned the corner. Metro, we're on his good side.
I feel bad.
Don't feel bad. You're being honest. And also, the people, if they've watched any episode before, they know you're typically pretty positive. So when you can't be all positive because then you're just talking out your ass. So I respect the hell out of it, and hopefully they do too. Speaking of positive, Trey Amos, second round Ole Miss cornerback. This is a guy a lot of YouTube personalities that are into the NFL draft were huge on. I know specifically Trevor Sycamore was a huge fan of Trey Amos. He's 6'1", 195. He's physical. He's not super fast, but he's physical as a press corner. I like the pick. I think he's a battle-tested cornerback you could put in day one and have him ready to go. And in the window we are with this team with a bunch of unks on the team, and we're trying to win right now. I like the move for the team. But what are your thoughts, Metro? Any good thoughts or any bad thoughts?
No, it's a good pick. Trey Amos is kind of an experienced guy. I think he is primarily going to be played as a press outside man corner. You're not probably going to put him in the nickel. If anything, I actually kind of think he might start this year, pair him alongside Marshawn Lattimore, and then you put Sainristil still back in at nickel, which is where I think he's probably best suited at because I think he's a little bit undersized for an outside corner. But Amos can move. He's a good mover. He's long. He's lengthy. He's very physical. There are some highlights for him out there that are really impressive where he makes some nice pass breakups. He can create some turnovers here and there. So I like this move. And look, even with the Connerly pick, you got younger with those guys. And when you are a roster that is as old as this team is, any young piece that you can add makes a lot of sense. So, with the two picks, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the Connerly pick, I would still give it a thumbs up. I think you have two guys who will be starters for your team for future years. And then down the board, Jalen Lane, maybe he can create a role for himself. It's a fourth-round receiver. Kind of felt a little bit late for me. He didn't have a third-rounder. Took the linebacker from UCLA. Maybe he can learn from Louisville and Wagner to become something there. We'll have to wait and see. And then Ja'Cory Crossett-Merritt. Heard some good things about him, but we'll see. We'll see. Seventh-round running back.
If you had to grade this NFL draft for the Commanders, what would you give them and why?
Okay.
They have
C+.
less picks. It makes it hard. You said C+?
Yeah, I give it a C+. If they had that third-round pick that was a running back or a good receiver or a good edge, then it probably gets boosted up a little bit, but they didn't have that third-round pick. And so even though I think Connerly and Amos will end up working out long-term, they just didn't have enough volume there, especially because they didn't have a fifth-round pick either. So it would get a C+ for me. If they would have taken Donovan Ezaraku in round one, probably moves up the board a little bit for me in terms of a grade, but it is what it is.
I'm right there, too. I'm also going to give them a C+. I like the Connerly pick. There are questions, but it's the right swing you need to make in my eyes. And then also for Trey Amos, the cornerback you can plug and play on day one. Him and Sainristil should do some damage together. I like the move a lot. Metro, anything else on this offseason before we dive into their depth chart across the board, starting on the offense?
No, I say we started with this. And last thing I'll say, look, I'm a guy sitting in a chair. I don't work in the front office. I don't work the phone. I'm simply giving my observation. I'm sure if I was the GM of this team, be 0-17, and every player would be paid like millionaires, and we'd be a terrible team. So take everything I say with a huge grain of salt. I'm just a nerd on a podcast.
Speaking of us being nerds on a podcast, guys, we love yapping on this channel together, bringing y'all content every Monday and Thursday. But we also have our own channels. Down in the description, go check out MetroSports, that humble man that just told you, hey, maybe I couldn't be a GM in the National Football League. That's the guy you're looking for. He brings awesome NFL analysis content that he works hard for and researches. Go check it out in the description and subscribe down below. And if you want to change of pace, more NFL draft content, I'm your guy at Cade Rathbone in the description. Thank you very much. And also, if you're enjoying the video, and Commanders fans, if you're still watching this video and you're happy, you got a smile on your face, you're like, Metro's kind of in a bad mood, but he's being nice to us now. Drop a like because we love you guys. We appreciate you watching. Let's move on to the Commanders depth chart. Let's start with the offense, where at quarterback we have Jaden Daniels. Running back we have Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler. Wide receiver Terry McLaurin, ? Following him, we have Deebo Samuel Sr., wide receiver Noah Brown. At tight end, we have Zach Ertz, who we just re-signed. Left tackle, our trade, Laramie Tunsil. Left guard, Nick Allegretti. Center, Tyler
Biotish.
Thank you, man. Right guard, we have Sam Cosme, and then right tackle, we have Josh Connolly Jr. Brother, this team, it's young on the O-line, or maybe just on the right side. I think there's promise on the O-line to tackles. We just need some good performance. I like kind of what we got going on there. Better than most teams that are kind of on the sketchy place. And then at tight end, Zach Ertz is Zach Ertz. He's going to produce, but at what level? But wide receiver. Honestly, Metro, I'm looking across this team. I think it's just Jaden Daniels. I'm trying to make this good. I'm not trying to gas him up. I'm trying to gas him up, bro. But I think it's just Jaden Daniels. And now the Connerly moves looks even better to me because they need some help across this offense. What do you make of it?
I'm going to assume McLaurin is on the team. If McLaurin is not on the team, it's pretty dire. It's pretty dire here. Look, Jaden Daniels is that guy. He is a complete difference maker. If he has a sophomore slump, this team is not going to be good next year. I hate to kind of break it to you. If Jaden Daniels is not good next year, or below average, we'll say, this team is going to struggle. If Daniels is anything like his rookie season, or even better, this team will be totally fine. I don't really think this team has too many superstars. I think there's one superstar at quarterback. There's one potential superstar at receiver if he's there. I think there's one superstar linebacker, and then that's about it, right? I think outside of that, you have a couple decent role players and just some dudes that are going to do their job, and it's a really well-coached team, so not a ton of difference makers. All right, sticking with the offense here, I don't love Brian Robinson Jr. I think he's one of the worst starting running backs in the league, but I think Daniels is the guy that kind of makes the difference there, where he is also a rushing threat too, could be a bit more of a dynamic threat. Eckler, I mean, let's be honest, Eckler's he's cooked. He's cooked. All right, let's just keep it real. You have McLaurin, great receiver. Deebo, I think, compare nicely with McLaurin. Noah Brown's a bit underrated, so I like that one too. Also keep an eye for Luke McCaffrey this year, and Jalen Lane. Zach Ertz will still get the job done. And I think offensive line-wise, once you do get Kazi back from that ACL injury, if it's this year or next year, your offensive line should have some solid depth as well as a decent starting five. So, all in all, it's what I said earlier. Daniels is good, offense will be good. Daniels sucks, offense will suck. Just about how I'll put it here.
Very fair breakdown. If you were to give them let's say like a grade, like a letter grade, where do you put them at? C being the league average, so that means you're like 16th in the league.
I'll give it a B+. Just Jaden Daniels is that good. I mean, which is crazy to say he's only played 1 year, but it's like he was just so good in his rookie year, and he completely transformed that team. So, yeah, I got to give it a B+. But now you take McLaurin off, I'm a little bit more concerned. So I'd say probably a C+ without McLaurin, because who's Daniels going to throw the ball to? That would be a huge issue. So, assuming McLaurin's on the team and Daniels is as good as he normally is, if not even better, B+ to an A-.
B+ to an A-. I like how you highlighted in the very beginning that on third down and fourth down, they were so successful. And guys, those are loud downs on the road. That is ice in the veins from Jaden Daniels. He is poised as shit. Nothing really phases him. And that is why they win time and time again. So I'm there with you. I'd probably give it like a B, just because I think Jaden Daniels takes a slight regression in year 2, as almost every quarterback does in their second season. But that's just me, though. Anything else on the offense before I go to the defense?
No, I'm talking about the defense.
Defense time. Let's go down the roster. At D end, we have Dorrance Armstrong. At D tackle, we have Deron Payne. D-tackle, freshly signed Javon Kinlaw. Defensive end, as Metro mentioned in the video, Von Miller. Linebacker, we have Frankie Louvu. Linebacker, we re-signed Bobby Wagner, the old man. I think he's like 35 now, but he just keeps playing well. Linebacker, we have Dominique Hampton. Cornerback, slot cornerback, we have Mike Sanders still. We have Will Harris at strong safety. Free safety, we have Quan Martin. Cornerback, we have Marshawn Lattimore. And then finally, Noah. Take it away, Metro. Teach me how to say this name because I want to say it correctly.
Igbenogany.
Thank you very much, sir. We tried our best. But this is their defense. And this, while they were ranked 18th last year in points per game, I feel pretty good about it. I really like Mike Sanders still. I liked the move for Marshawn Lattimore when they made it. Will Harris is it's a fine signing. You know what I mean? It's going to patch the wound and keep it moving, but it's nothing that's going to shake the ground. This defensive front needs to figure it the hell out. Will they do that with Javon Kinlaw, Darian Payne, and Dorian Armstrong? And I'm not going to leave out Von Miller. I don't know. I think Eddie Goldman was brought in for these first and second downs because he is a big body D tackle. But will that solve all their problems? We'll find out. But that's the biggest concern here. I like the secondary to a good amount. Metro, what's your analysis and breakdown here?
I like the secondary if Marshawn Lattimore really works out next year. If Lattimore returns to form, then I think this secondary could be pretty darn good with Sanders still probably playing in the nickel or on the outside. Lattimore, and then Trey Amos gets his nose in there here and there. You also have the veteran Jonathan Jones. Noah Igbenogany had a good year last year. So I like the secondary, and I actually do like the depth there. The question will be, can Lattimore look like Marshawn Lattimore, right? The safeties are fine, not necessarily special. You lose Jeremy Chin, which that's unfortunate, but I think you can kind of work around him. So secondary can be good if Lattimore is good. If Lattimore is not good, then I have a couple of question marks there. Linebackers, Louvu has really entered into his own. He's a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker, one of the best blitzing linebackers out there. And then, Bobby Wagner is still Bobby Wagner. Like he is... he's an anomaly. He's a 34, 35-year-old linebacker that's still one of the best out there. Will he retire after this year? Will he stay? We'll have to wait and see. I worry a lot, and I see a lot about the edge rushing room. They're going to be relying very heavily on Frankie Louvu to get to the quarterback because right now I just don't think they have a guy that can consistently get after the quarterback off the edge. Armstrong can get you, 5-7 sacks a season. Von Miller, we'll see if he can get you 5 or 7. Deatrich Wise, again, kind of maybe he'll be a 5 or 7 guy. Johnny Newton up the middle is going to be pretty important for them. First round pick, I think second round pick just a few years ago, who really, probably needs to step into a bigger role as a pass rusher up the middle. And so I think there's the potential for a decent enough offensive line. If you can get 5 to 6 sacks from Armstrong, Miller, and Wise, and then Payne has a good year and Newton has a good year, and then Louvu can really be that guy that takes the team over, then I think you can probably count this defense to be a bit better than what it was last year. So, again, I'm going to reiterate what I said. I would have liked to have seen this team be aggressive in pursuing a Hendrickson, a Myles Garrett, or a Donovan Ezeraku, one of those dudes who can come off the edge and get you some pressure on the quarterback. They didn't really address it, which I did not like, but there's enough pieces here to have a decent enough defense. So I think it'll be, it's hard to say if it'll be better or not. Got to trust Dan Quinn. He's a great defensive mind. So I'll say it probably should be a little bit better.
I'm there with you, man. And I also totally forgot I was going to mention Newton, the late first round pick. I guess he was a second round pick a year ago. He has a lot of upside. I was wondering when we were going through this free agency period, why didn't they make a huge splash at D tackle? Yes, they signed Javon Kinlaw, but I was like, there's got to be more juice needed here. They must believe in that man Newton and his development as a D tackle. That's what they're waiting on. And also, when Trey Amos is your backup cornerback, that's pretty nice, gotta say. Metro, what are we ranking this team? Last time we did a letter grade, honestly, I like the number scale more when it comes to rating these offenses than defenses. Where do you think they finish out of 32, 1-32 in the league?
Talk about defense?
Defense, yes, sir.
Well, if we say last year they were the 22nd best defense because that's how many points a game they allowed, I think they can enter top 20 conversations. I would say 16, 17, maybe, around that range, around league average, which I think is decent for them.
I'm with you. I think I'll take the upside and go at about 15-14. I believe in their D coordinator. Man's a genius. Anything else you got on this team before we move forward?
No, I've been kind of saying it throughout the video. It's an older roster, so there's going to be a lot of turnover these next 2 to 3 years from this current iteration of the team to next year's, then the year after that. I think the only consistent thing that you can say this guy will be here forever will be Jaden Daniels, probably Josh Connerly, and Mike Sanders still. Other than that, expect a lot of change because this team is old.
Every single 30-minute mark, we do a non-football question on every episode. That's our new thing. So, Metro, are you ready for this question? He has no idea what I'm about to ask him.
Go for it. What's my question?
What is the best sports event or game you have ever been to in person?
Well, got to be honest with you, my favorite one I've ever been to was Cowboys-Commanders, where the Cowboys beat the Commanders by like 70 points. So that was pretty fun, not going to lie. Game was over by the first quarter. This was it Sam Howell was starting quarterback? I might have been Sam. It could have been somebody else. But Cowboys put belt to ass on them, dude. They had third stringers getting 50-yard touchdowns. I mean, it was insane. I've never seen a blowout like this in my life. It was insane. But outside of football, I went to a Formula One event last year in Austin. That was really fun. Got to see, I think Carlos won that one, so that was pretty cool. And recently I went to a FC Austin game, not FC Austin. I went to it was a soccer game between, I think it was like Ecuador and some countries out there, which is pretty cool. Halftime, the lights turn all red. They get the music going. You got Shakira going crazy. I'm white. I'm like the only white dude out there, but even I was throwing some hips out there. So great times. What about you? What's been your favorite one?
I mean, I don't know how I beat Shakira and being the only Caucasian in the crowd. That sounds like a blast. I'll go with 2014. It was Michigan State Baylor in the Cotton Bowl. I got to go see it because they were close to me. I'm a Michigan State guy. And that was the game where it was Sean Oakman with the meme, and he's got the huge visor and like the 8-pack, and also the kicker get absolutely disgustingly killed. Great comeback, great game. And then the next year we went to play Alabama in that same stadium, and no comment there. Good times all around. AT&T's been fun for the Spartans. Metro, thank you for entertaining me. Expect a ton of change. Metro, I think it's time for the best part of our show. We are going to go through every single game of the 2025 season. Tomorrow it's August, and we're fired up to bring you this schedule. I'm going to ask Metro for every single game, whether they win or lose on the road or at home. And if they make the playoffs, we will do a playoff scenario too. Metro, are you ready to go?
100%. Let's get into it.
Let's get locked and loaded and get straight into this schedule. It is beautiful 2025 on a Sunday afternoon. It's going to be September 7th at noon, actually, not afternoon. And we play the New York Giants at home. Metro, who's taking this game home? Likely to be Russell Wilson starting.
I think a lot of Commanders fans are going to chalk this up as a victory. I don't think it's a gimme game. I think Carter, Kayvon, and Brian Burns could cause a lot of havoc on that right side with that new offensive line up front. So expect there to be some pressure put on this Commanders team. If there was a guy in the league, not named Lamar or Josh or Joe or Mahomes, maybe even Herbert, that I would trust to be able to beat a pass rush consistently, it would be Jaden Daniels. I think his legs will come in crucial here. This is not a give-me game, though. This game will be competitive, at least I think. Who knows? Could be 40-0. That'd be kind of crazy. Dabo would be fired if that's the case. Give me the Commanders to win this game. I think it will be a close one, though.
Big time W. We're moving on to week 2, and we're playing on Thursday night football. It's a 4-day turnaround. My God, here we go. We're going to Green Bay, Lambeau Field. That's going to be a fun game if you're going to be there live. 7:15. Who wins this one on Prime Video, Mr. Metro?
This would be a big game for Jaden in his career. This is I don't really remember him having too many primetime games last year. I just don't think the NFL thought they'd be that good, so they didn't really give him that many. Granted, the playoffs are about as primetime as they get, and he passed with flying colors. So this would be a good game for him, though. In Lambeau Field with that crowd, with those fans, against that team. It's a tough one. Give me the Packers.
Very tough loss. We're 1-1 moving on to week 3. And we have a nice little 10-day break because we just played on Thursday Night Football. We are staying at home, and the Las Vegas Raiders are rolling into town for a noon Fox game. How does this one shake out?
Yeah, the Raiders are going to be a good team next year, but I don't think they're quite yet there. I don't think they have the personnel to really take advantage of some of the flaws in Washington. I think Washington can run the ball all over them. I think Daniels will have a big day against that secondary. Give me Jaden Daniels and the Commanders to win. I don't want to say comfortably, but, 7+ points.
You heard Metro. Belt to ass against the Raiders. On to week 4. It's going to be 7 days later. It's Sunday, but we're going to Atlanta to play the Falcons. It's a noon game. Metro, what are your thoughts?
Atlanta's going to be competitive next year. I don't think it's a give-me game, but I also don't necessarily think that the Commanders can afford a loss here. I think their schedule gets pretty difficult down the stretch, and I think they need a win here. Give me the Commanders.
Give me the Commanders. We're now 3-1 going into week 5, and we're playing on Sunday, and it's October now. It's getting beautiful out, and we are going to Los Angeles to play the Chargers in their house. Is that home field advantage? I don't really know in LA, but it's going to be 3 p.m. Who wins this game on the road?
I think the Chargers defensively can hold their own. I just wonder if... actually, I'm going to go with the Chargers to win this one. I was originally going to go with Washington, but then I kind of thought about it. The weakness of this Commanders' defense is stuffing the run. What do the Chargers do? Probably better than anyone. It's run the football down your throat. And I just don't know if they have the dudes up front to really stuff the run consistently. They're going to have to stack the box, and I think that'll open things up for Trey. I think that'll open things up for McConkey. Daniels is going to have to, probably carry them on this one a little bit, but I'm going to give the win to the Chargers.
As Metro said, Najee Harris with an eye patch and Omar and Hampton are going for 1,000 yards this game, and they are going to win this one. I hope Najee's doing well, by the way. Let's go to week 6, and it's going to be Monday Night Football, and we're going to the Monsters of the Midway. Well, we're playing them. We're actually going to be at home. The Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football, 7:15. Who wins this one, Metro?
Yeah, I think the Bears are starting to figure some things out at this time, but it's a tough one. I mean, look, let's not forget what happened last year. Daniels, Hail Mary, Tyreek Stevenson, I think it was Tyreek, celebrating with the fans. Hail Mary, he's crying in bed last night. Look, the Bears, I think, are going to want to get this game won, but I think they're not quite there yet. I think they can wait till potentially the playoffs or potentially 2026. I think the Commanders will win yet again.
Let's go. We're 4-2 on to week 7. We're playing on Sunday again. We got a lot of primetime games this year, but we got Sunday here. It's 3 p.m. It is the Cowboys' time of day, and they're going to Dallas to play the Dallas Cowboys. Who wins this one in a huge divisional game, Metro?
Yeah, this will be a big one. I think both these two teams will be fighting for second seed behind Philadelphia, and the winner of the second seed probably is going to make the wild card, but it's tough. Now, I will say Dallas last year was actually quite successful against Washington, despite the fact that Dak was not playing. But I will give the win here to Washington. Just think that it's going to be really difficult for Micah and the defense to stuff Jaden Daniels. They don't typically perform very well versus rushing quarterbacks, so I'm going to give them the win.
Let's go, fellas. We're 5-2, rolling in hot, and it's week 8, and who wants to face us? Because we are just the bad boys in town. Oh, shit. That's his Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to Kansas City on the road on Monday Night Football. And it looks like we come on, not a bye week, but we do have like an 8-day break. Who wins this one, Metro? We're on the road at Kansas City. This is hostile as it gets in October 27th.
Yeah, you do not want to face Kansas City middle of the season. It is a week 8 game. Look, I think at this stage, you've lost to the Packers. You lost to the Chargers. You did beat the Cowboys, so that's kind of a big one there. I think that this would be a game for Washington that they really want to win to kind of make their statement for the NFL. And look, it don't get much bigger than beating the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to give the win to Washington. I think Washington beats the Kansas City Chiefs. I look at it and I say, who's going to stuff the run? Who's going to stuff Jaden Daniels? Daniels ran all over the Detroit Lions last year, and I just don't know if Kansas City has the speed to really get out there and stuff Jaden. So, yeah, why not? Give me the Washington Commanders.
Metro, While you thought he was being mean all day, nah, man, he had a treat in store for y'all. We are 6-2 on the season. Week 9, we're moving on. It's November 2nd, and we're playing the Seattle Seahawks at home. How does this one shake out on Sunday Night Football, Metro?
I think Seattle's versatility and speed, size could really cause some problems here for Washington and that offense. I just don't know if Washington has the versatility and the diversity, offensively speaking, to really hurt Seattle. But on the other side, I don't know if Seattle's offense is as good as Washington's. I will say, I don't really think that Washington can put pressure on Sam like other teams might be able to. I think this will be a big game for Jerzon Newton. If Jerzon Newton can really go in there and whoop up on Gray Zabel, that could be interesting. I think there might be a bit of a layoff here. You had the big high. You beat the Cowboys. You beat the Chiefs. You head back home. 7 o'clock game. You put a stinker against Seattle. You lose to Seattle.
It is kind of a trap game. We're now 6-3 on the season. On to week 10. We got to keep playing. 7 days later, we have the Detroit Lions at home. They're rolling in. It's going to be at 3 p.m. Metro, how's this one finish?
Detroit is going to want to smoke this team. If there's one team in the NFL that is unbelievably petty, it's the Detroit Lions. We all saw what happened in Dallas, man. We all saw what happened. They wanted to put 70 on them. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. I think Detroit's going to play pissed off. They're going to play this game like it's a playoff game. They're not going to go into this one light. They saw what happened last year where Washington kicked some ass. And by the third quarter, the game was basically done. I think Detroit steps in here, wants to make a statement in Washington. I think Detroit does so, and I think they get the win.
Detroit wins the game. Now we're 6-4, kind of slipping away. Mr. Stark, what does he say?
I don't feel so good.
Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Here we go. We go on to week 11. And luckily for us, before our bye week, we have the Miami Dolphins. It's going to be November 16th. Not chilly in LA, so that really doesn't matter for the weather. But we're playing where? It's 8:30 a.m. Where are we going?
They are playing in Spain.
Holy shit. Whoa.
That's awesome.
That's sick.
And they have their bye week, too, so they get to chill in Spain for a week.
Are you kidding me?
That sounds pretty good.
Who wins this one, Metro?
Washington. I think Washington needs a bounce-back game. You lost 2 in a row. Miami's a competitive team that I think they could exploit some of Washington's issues, but I think Washington's ground game and McLaurin could feast on whoever the hell the Dolphins put out there at corner. I don't know who it's going to be, but McLaurin should have a big day. Give me the Washington Commanders in Spain heading into the bye.
Let's go. Let's get back into the season. Fresh off this bye week, we are 7-4. You can only afford about 2 more losses, I'd say, before it starts getting pretty sketchy. But we got some serious teams down the stretch. Nonetheless, let's get it going. Off the bye week, we are playing Sunday Night Football, and we are at home against the Denver Broncos. That's a damn good team, Metro. Who wins this one fresh off the bye?
Unfortunately, in Spain, the team had a little bit too much fun, and they're heading into Denver. Sean Payton has those Broncos doing military drills in camp, during practices, military drills. I think the Broncos win. Defensively, I think they are just too stacked. I think that Pat Surtain can shut down McLaurin. You're going to have to rely on Jaden Daniels as much as you can, but I think they'll have a game plan ready for it, and I think Bo Nix should have a field day. Give me Denver here, and I don't think it's going to be particularly close, by the way.
Honestly, fair analysis. We're 7-5, looking down the barrel of some bad times if we don't string some wins together. On to the next week. It is now December. The clock has changed. We are going to Minnesota, USA Bank Stadium. That place gets rowdy. It's noon. Who wins this road game, Metro?
Minnesota's going to be damn good this year, but J.J. McCarthy's a massive question mark. I have a hard time thinking J.J.'s going to be better than Jaden, but I think Minnesota can win this game, but I'm not going to predict it. Give me the Commanders here.
Let's go, Commies. Big win right here. We are now 8-5. Actually, quick question for any Commies fan or Commanders fans. Sorry. Do y'all hate Commies Put it in the comments. I've heard people hate it. I've heard people think it's funny. Let me know. Just a side tangent. Let's keep it moving. On to Week 15. We are playing our old friends, the New York Giants. We're on the road going to New Jersey. It's noon. Who wins this one, Metro?
Again, not a give-me game by no means, but I think that Dart is probably starting up this stage, and I think their season's probably already over, so they're probably fighting for, a lower draft pick, which means some people are maybe checked out a little bit. Dable might be there. He might not. We'll have to wait and see. A lot of pressure might be, on his plate in Week 15 here, but give me the Commanders.
Man, you can always count on the Giants. We are now 9-5, going to Week 16, and it's Saturday. I love Saturday games when it gets around the holidays. It's Saturday, December 20th, and we are at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. Good God, mate. Don't have a time yet. Who wins this one, Metro?
Yeah, they have a pretty tough schedule, especially down the stretch here. Really after Week 8, gets kind of brutal. Chiefs, Detroit, Denver, Philly twice, Minnesota, and Dallas. Gets kind of tough down the stretch here. But look, Philadelphia, you gotta split Philadelphia, in my opinion. You got to get one win and one loss. I think the win is probably more likely to come in Week 18 because I think Philly might be benching some starters. So I'm going to give Philadelphia the win here in Week 16, but we'll come back to that in Week 18.
9-6. We are back against the wall. Not must win, but we probably got maybe one more loss before we're feeling really scared. And we're going to Dallas. Actually, we're back at home. It's Week 17, and Dallas is rolling up to the Commanders' home. It's Christmas, Thursday, noon game. Oh, this will be fucking fun. Excuse my language. It's noon. Let's get it going. Fire me up. The fireplace is roaring. I got hot cocoa. Maybe I got a present or two. Maybe a lump of coal. Who knows? Who wins this game, Metro?
I am, obviously, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I will be praying to God that my Christmas is not spoiled by the Commanders. But for sake of argument, I think it will be. Give me the Commanders here. And I think this game will be the decider of who is that second seed, and I think the Commanders win it.
Bang! We're now 10-6, and like Metro mentioned, we pulled ahead of Dallas in our own division, the biggest win of them all so far. It's Week 18, and we're going to meet our maker. We're on the road, going to Philadelphia. No confirmed time yet, but it's going to be a damn good game for some serious seeding implication. A win, we're definitely in. A loss, you're most likely in, but you're probably in the 7th seed. Metro, how does this one shake out at Philadelphia?
I think Philly starts their backup quarterback, and I think Washington gets the win. What would be interesting, though, is if Philly wants to be a little bit petty and say, let's play our guys. Let's kick them out of the playoffs. Let somebody else in. That could be really interesting, but I don't think they'll do it. This kind of reminds me a bit of Chiefs-Broncos last year, where Broncos win that game, they're in, and then they start Carson Wentz, so Broncos easily win that one. So I think Philadelphia lets them in, but don't be surprised if Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley are out there, scoring buckets. So give me the Commanders to win versus who's the backup for Philly? Is it Tanner McKee?
That sounds right. Tanner McKee.
Yeah. So yeah, give me the Commanders here to go 11-6.
11-6 on the season, and that means Metro playoffs. We're talking playoffs. It's playoff season. We're going to predict this whole scenario. What teams can we beat? We're going to go on a little fake run, and if we fake lose or win, we'll stop there and explain it. It's time. We're going to set the stage, but before we set the stage, let's talk about this seeding process. Metro, we got to talk about our winners in each division. Obviously, Philadelphia. I'm going to go NFC North for a toss-up. I'll go Tampa Bay, Philadelphia. What else you got?
Rams and Detroit.
Rams and Detroit. Those are our 4 top winners in the top 4 seeds. For our wild cards, I'm going to put Green Bay in. Obviously, the Commanders are in. Who would be your final team?
It's between Cardinals, Seahawks, Cowboys, Vikings. I would say, give me Vikings.
Give me the Vikings. We got 3 NFC North teams. I'm all about it. And with that being said, the seeding probably goes Philadelphia, Detroit at the bottom because it sounds like an absolute bloodbath in the NFC North. I'll probably put Tampa Bay at 3, unless you feel differently. You want the Rams at 2? What would you like to do?
I would say it goes Philly, Rams, because I think the Rams schedule is pretty simple. Philly, Rams, Lions, Bucks. I guess Bucks and Lions could be flipped.
Cool. So Bucks 3, Lions 4. So if we're the 7th seed, is that what we're saying, or are we the 6th seed?
I think the 6th seed. So that means we'd be facing the 3 seed,
Rams.
which would be.
Oh, no, you're right. You're
I thought
right.
I said it.
You did. We're playing
Lions? Oh, were we playing Tampa or the Lions?
Tampa. We're playing Tampa.
Okay. Well, repeat of last year. And who won? Commanders won. Look, I will say this. I think Tampa Bay might have the better roster, but Daniels is just that kind of guy, so I don't know. Could be a toss-up here.
Can I hype it up?
Yes, go for it. Give me a hype up intro here, and I'll make my pick.
Here we go. We got Metro's pick on the horizon. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have home field advantage. This team, Baker's feeling dangerous. The boys are ready to go. Mike Evans is begging for a damn Super Bowl win. But who is coming to their house? It's going to be the Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels. This is the Iceman. He doesn't get phased no matter where he goes. Who wins this game, Metro? Likely a Saturday game. How does it boil down?
I don't know. I don't know.
Bro,
I don't know.
I weighted that shit off the glass, and LeBron just threw it to the sideline.
I know. I have to lob it to somebody else. Look, Daniels is just so good that I want to say him, but I also look at it and I say, it's got to be Baker's time eventually. The Buccaneers have to get over the hump here. They cannot afford to lose this one. But I also don't want to piss off Commanders fans anymore, so I'm kind of tempted to say Commanders. But I don't know. I'll let you pick. You know what? You hyped it up. Let you pick. You pick here.
Commanders fans, I think the road will eventually stop for you, but I don't think it stops in Tampa Bay. That's a very good team.
Hell yeah.
Not a great team. Let's give the Commanders a win here. Jaden Daniels has got ice in his damn veins. I think it's a close game. We're talking 4th downs, 3rd downs. But who does that better than anybody in the league? The Commanders and Jaden Daniels. I'll take them in clutch time in a 2-minute drill. Give me the Commanders and Jaden Daniels. Now it's going to be not wild card Sunday, but it's going to be divisional round time. And who are we playing? So we just beat
Philly.
Oh my God, we're playing Philly. We're playing Philadelphia.
Unless the 7th seed upsets the 2 seed, which I don't see happening.
I don't see that happening either. So, guys, very exciting. We, the Commanders, are going on the road back to Philadelphia. We beat them in Week 18. Yes, backups were in, but who cares? Maybe we can do it again. We're fired up. Jaden Daniels, didn't they beat Philadelphia in their house last season too? It was an awesome game in like Week 15, and it was a real game? Or am I messing that shit up?
They did beat Philadelphia in Week 16, 36-33, but they also got smoked in the playoffs, 55-23. So
fair. But
know.
Here we are. Can we win in Philadelphia? Metro, probably my last time. Rip the Band-Aid, brother.
They lose.
We're just being honest here, okay? Philly's pretty damn good. But
Yep.
how do they
Philly's
lose?
good.
Is it sad? Everybody okay? Everybody healthy?
I think it's closer than what it was last year. Here's the thing. I don't think Washington has anything that presents a problem to Philadelphia, right? Daniels is great, and he is the problem. But outside of him, there's nothing that really, if I'm an Eagles fan, I'd be too worried about. McLaurin, great, but they can't run the ball terribly effectively outside of Daniels. And Philly, if there's a defense that knows how to handle rushing quarterbacks, it's Philadelphia. They have the cornerbacks to stuff them. They have the defensive line to stuff them. They have the offense that can score. I do not think that I do not think that Washington's defensive line or front seven can even come close to stopping Saquon Barkley. So it's just a bad matchup, frankly. I just think Philadelphia is just the better team, and they have an answer to everything that Washington can present. And unless Philadelphia just shits the bed, I think Philadelphia wins this one 10-plus points probably.
Is there a path that, not Philly, but the Commanders take to where they get to the NFC Championship? And if so, what is the path?
The path would be getting the 5th seed and then praying that someone in the 6th or 7th seed, because we're assuming Philadelphia gets the 1 seed here, right? Maybe they don't, maybe they do. Let's just assume they do. If Philly gets the 1 seed, then you need somebody else, either the 6th seed or 7th seed, to upset one of the divisional winners, which I actually think is a possibility. Green Bay, Minnesota, Dallas, Arizona, maybe Atlanta sneaks in there. Those teams all have a shot at it. So if one of those teams does so, and if you are Washington, if you can get that matchup versus, I guess it would be Detroit or LA, maybe, like, I don't like those matchups either way for Washington, but it's an easier route to me than Philadelphia, just because, and it's not even to say that the LA Rams, the Lions are worse than Philadelphia. It's just, I think the matchup with Philadelphia is just, it's a tough matchup. It's just not a great matchup specifically for Washington. Whereas a team like LA and a team like Detroit, obviously we saw what happened last year. Detroit was not a good matchup, especially after all the injuries. So, if you do get that Detroit matchup, you win that game, then you're just hoping that somebody upsets Philadelphia, and then you're going to the NFC Championship game, maybe versus an LA or versus a Tampa Bay or somebody along those lines, and probably feeling pretty good about yourself.
If they get to the Super Bowl, you think they could win it, or do you think that AFC opponent's just too strong?
I think if it's Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, or Denver, I think all four of those teams beat Washington, and I think it's pretty handily too, by the way.
Very fair. Do you have any other comments before I start yapping to finish this?
No. Look, Washington's getting closer, but they're not quite yet there. They need, and I hate to end this on a bit of a sour note, I do sort of worry about Washington and their future, not about Jaden, but just of how old this team is. There's going to be a lot of work to do to retool this roster with all these older players. I have a feeling and a suspicion that every single offseason they are going to be tasked with replacing somebody. So instead of fixing holes, they're not really being able to fix them. They're fixing retired players. So, for example, if Bobby Wagner were to retire, now you have to spend capital both in the draft or in free agency to find a linebacker replacement or draft a linebacker replacement when you could have spent that money or draft pick on other positions of need like running back or receiver. So with this roster being older, you're going to see a Wagner retire soon, a Vaughn retire soon, a Marshawn retire soon, a Zach Ertz retire soon. Eckler is going to be gone. Tunsil probably only has a few more years. Debo probably only has a few more years. And you're going to have to replace these guys year after year after year after year. And I just have an issue with trying to fix those problems year after year and never being able to fully address other issues at a more serious level. So just something to kind of keep an eye on. We'll see if they can obviously get the task done. I obviously believe in Jaden Daniels to do so. So it'll be an interesting 2025 season, but don't be surprised if Washington is not as good as you think they are.
Commanders fans, in summary, your quarterback is sick. We
Sick.
would kill to have him on your team. A
Yep,
lot of questions
literally.
besides that.
Murder.
Enjoy it. Murder. Enjoy
Sorry.
while you have it, because the window's about a year and a half, maybe two. And then after that, you'll re-sign him and you'll have him for the rest of your time and you'll win championships and have fun. But keep your eye out for this year and potentially the next year as well. Commanders fans, we talked about a lot today, from free agency to the draft to the predictions of the season. Comment below whether you think you should win more, less, go to the Super Bowl. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you very much. We value those opinions because we want to hear from the fans like you. If y'all enjoyed this video, because we were not, I wouldn't say kind or mean, but we were honest today. And that's what we try to do with y'all. We try to be brutally honest because we're not always right. Matter of fact, probably we're wrong more than we like to admit, but we'll be straight up when we are talking to the camera. We just don't want to bullshit and be nice all day. But let us know what you thought. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. We appreciate it very much. Metro, anything else?
Yep, we were mean to you guys today, but you still made the playoffs and you beat my Dallas Cowboys twice. So take that as you will. You got the job done. Hopefully you enjoyed. Peace out.